Inferiority complex. These people often crave attention but are also afraid of becoming the focus. For example, when talking to people, they dare not look them directly in the eye. They are especially concerned about others' opinions of them. Because of a small matter, they start to overthink for the entire day. They even don't dare to ask the driver to stop when on a bus, and can only silently pray that someone else gets off at the same stop. They dislike having their picture taken and experience severe appearance anxiety when looking in the mirror. They also think their voice sounds bad in voice messages and will choose to type instead. These people always feel, "I am not good enough," that they have many flaws and are often prone to internal friction. Fantasy complex. These people are always immersed in their own fantasy world. For example, fantasizing they were born into a wealthy family, an enviable second-generation rich kid, or that they've won the lottery and become a big winner in life. Whenever they encounter conflicts or disputes in reality, they often dare not express their anger on the spot. They can only replay it over and over in their minds afterward, imagining how they would retort confidently and without backing down. When they develop a crush on someone, they will fantasize in their minds about romantic and sweet drama scenes like holding hands or hugging their crush, and they thoroughly enjoy the pleasure brought by these fantasies. Martyr complex. This is a psychological concept referring to the psychological tendency of gaining a sense of worth through self-sacrifice. They often fall into a victim-savior dynamic, feeling, "I've sacrificed so much for you, you must listen to me," using the other person's guilt for psychological control. These people will actively suffer in the name of love or responsibility, seeing themselves as noble sufferers, and then force others to do what they want them to do. Anxiety complex. These people are often particularly prone to anxiety, always getting nervous and worked up over small things. For example, a casual remark from someone can make them think about it all day long. Whenever they start doing something, they want to see results immediately. But if the result doesn't meet their expectations, they will start to doubt themselves. Even when life's going a little too smoothly, they will feel uneasy, afraid that in the next second something bad will happen. Savior complex. These people usually have an excessive sense of responsibility. They always feel that people around them are not capable enough and cannot complete tasks independently, so they constantly need to save others. And in the process, they will take on a greater workload. Cinderella complex. This is a psychological term referring to certain women who both desire independence and yet subconsciously hope to be rescued by marriage or a man, just like Cinderella was saved by the prince. These people are often not very independent, unable to be self-sufficient, and often need to rely on the help of others to make decisions. They are also afraid of taking on adult responsibilities. This complex may become more apparent as they get older. This psychological phenomenon may stem from traditional social concepts. In the past, women were always expected to be more beautiful, polite, and to know how to support others, but they were rarely encouraged to learn to take care of themselves or to change their circumstances through personal effort. Instead, they were taught that they needed to be protected and cared for by men. Napoleon complex. This refers to people of shorter stature who may exhibit aggressive behavior, violent tendencies, or an overly assertive personality as a psychological mechanism to compensate for their lack of height. The name of this complex comes from Napoleon Bonaparte. Although he was relatively short, his extraordinary political skills and military genius allowed him to rise quickly and constantly wage wars. However, in reality, he was actually of average height for a European man in the 19th century. But among the elite soldiers, nobles, and high-ranking officials he associated with, he was still the shortest one. Hero syndrome. This is a somewhat pathological pattern of behavior. For these people, the pursuit of heroism has reached an unhealthy level. For example, they might deliberately put others in a dangerous situation and then rescue them in order to satisfy their own psychological need to be a hero. Guilt complex. This refers to an individual feeling excessive guilt over past wrongdoings or decisions, even if they were not responsible for those actions. And they are always afraid that they might do something wrong in the future, even when nothing is currently happening. They always feel guilty and self-blaming. Furthermore, they are always overly self-critical, believing that all bad things are their own fault. God complex. These people often have an extreme sense of arrogance and superiority, believing they are cut above the rest and superior to other species. Even when faced with very complex problems or tasks, they firmly believe that it is impossible for them to make a mistake or fail. Moreover, they always believe that their own views are absolutely correct, appearing very dogmatic and stubborn in their thinking. These people often feel that the world revolves around them. They lack empathy and exhibit typical narcissistic personality traits. They often disregard social norms and expectations, and may even demand that others grant them special rights or privileges.